Woody, how you doing, bud? It's good to see you. Happy Sunday, everyone. I should be probably at a local Comic-Con right now over in San Mateo, but instead I decided to play hooky and do a couple of things around the house. So what I did want to do is I wanted to jump on here really quickly and go live and share with you guys, because it is Sunday, the top 10 books in my collection that are signed. And this will officially round out my top 50 countdown of, I guess, my top 50 books in my collection. I started things off with my childhood books, my Amazing Spider-Man books, my Steve Ditko and other popular artist books. We then went on to my top 12 X-Men books, and we are finishing up on Sunday with my top signature books. So we're gonna run this thing down, and then I am going to go take my family for a walk. The weather is pretty nice here in California, so we're gonna go out for a walk real quick in the neighborhood before it's time to feed the kids and start doing all that stuff that you need to do to get ready for the work week. So break out the yellow labels. Tony Sanders, how you doing, brother? So we do have a couple of yellow labels off to my side, but I actually left one on the wall. I'm gonna have to grab it. I'm gonna do it a little bit differently this time, and I'm actually gonna use a couple of non-slabbed books. We're gonna do it with a couple of raw books. So I probably want to grab that off the wall. I need to grab two books. You guys give me a second. So you guys probably already know what those books are, so we don't need to, there won't be any mystery to those books. All right, so only a couple of people here, but that's okay. I have a feeling that most people are out and about trying to do things before they finish out their day or before the night, you know? So, nice. What did you get? What did you end up getting, Tony Sanders? Curious what you picked up. Because a couple of buddies had a booth set up at a local Comic-Con, wanted me to come over, and I just couldn't make my way there. But I did, however, pick up two really cool books off of eBay from a local shop that's probably maybe 45 minutes away from my house. I actually found the books earlier this week. Didn't realize that they were from that shop, but they are indeed local, and unfortunately I can't go pick them up because it's, you know, it's kind of late in the day, but I am working to get two more books from them. So I'm hoping I can get a little haul of 4 books from this local shop. So Cajun Comics, how you doing? I have never seen your name before. Welcome to the chat, brother. Or yeah, I assume everybody's, you know, a guy. So SJF, how you doing? Welcome to the chat. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I was actually yesterday, I had never joined the Great Legend Shows auction, and so I actually jumped on there last night and picked up a couple of books, but that's neither here nor there. But he actually said a couple of things about me that I thought were really cool. He complimented me on the live shows that I do, which I think is really cool because I enjoy these live shows because it gives me an opportunity to interact with you guys a little bit more. Yeah, so Cajun says he recently subbed, so thank you for that. I absolutely appreciate it. And yeah, everyone's doing the top 50 right now, which I think is really cool. But, you know, I like to do things just a little bit differently, which is why I broke my top 50 down into a series of smaller videos. And hopefully people kind of appreciate the fact that I'm trying to do it a little bit differently, you know? So Tony picked up Marvel Team Up 65, the first first appearance of Captain Britain. Very nice, very nice. Congrats on that, brother. You've been picking up some nice books lately. So let me go ahead and jump into this thing. Again, welcome to everyone that's in the chat and everyone that will be watching this thing back on replay. So we are going to do, I think I've pulled down the top 10 books in my collection that have signatures. And to some degree, what I'm trying to do in that spirit of doing things differently, not everything is going to be a major book. Not everything is going to be signature series. Some of them are just regular books that I happen to get signed. So we're going to kind of run through this thing and hopefully you guys appreciate it for what it is. as you know, if you've been watching my channel, some of you are new, so this might be a surprise, but for many of you that have been watching my channel, I am a fan of Thanos. And so the first book that I want to show is a book that I've shown several times. I've actually done videos just around this book and this character. So it is Infinity Gauntlet #1, signed by the man Jim Starlin. I actually picked this book up as part of a, I picked up I think it was the entire story arc from someone, and each book was actually signed. So definitely pretty cool. Definitely love this story, and it's an awesome signature to get. Back in the day, I was a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I had an opportunity, I guess at some point, I went to a couple of Comic-Cons in like maybe 91, 92, and was able to get a signature from Jim Valentino, who at the time was the artist on Guardians of the Galaxy. And so I picked up this #1 back in the day. I probably got this off the rack more than likely, but it's got a really cool Jim Valentino signature right there. Hopefully you guys can actually see it. It is in silver, and it's a black book with some silver treatment, but hopefully you guys can see the signature right there. So definitely a cool book to have in the collection. All right. Oh yeah. So Evan, Evan just jumped in. And yeah, man, so Evan he made a comment about Sean Roden. So for the folks that don't know, I am a bodybuilder, and I am a fan of all forms of bodybuilding. And so last night, or this weekend, I should say, was really like our Super Bowl for the IFBB. And there has been a champion that has won the title of Mr. Olympia for the last 7 years, named Phil Heath. And Phil is a beast. Great physique. I think a great guy, right? From what I've seen, I think a great guy, a great champion. I've never had an opportunity to meet him. My wife actually has, back when she was competing. But he was dethroned last night by a guy by the name of Sean Roden. And Sean Roden is, I think, 43 years old. And he looked phenomenal this weekend. And he ended up becoming the, I guess the 15th or 16th, I can't remember the number, I might be off, Mr. Olympia, taking home a check for $400,000. So I think he and his wife and his daughter are probably celebrating like crazy right about now. So welcome to the chat, Stay Puff. And also Who Dat Comics and Movies. Good to see you guys. All right, so the next book that is on my list is one that I've also shown before. Tony, you will like this because we've been talking a lot about this guy over the last couple of weeks. This is a book I've shown maybe in one other video, I want to say, about variants that I put out. But this is a #1 exclusive variant signed by none other than J. Scott Campbell. And it is Domino #1. Absolutely love this cover. I bought all 4 of these variants simply because I wanted this cover, and you couldn't buy it independent of the other 3. But you've got the really cool J. Scott Campbell signature down there at the bottom in silver. And even the guy's signature is artistic. You know, it is a really well done signature and a great cover. So JD, it's good to see you. Yeah, Who Dat Comics, man. I enjoyed the Legend show last night. That was the first time I'd ever joined his show. It was also the first time I'd ever done a live auction. I was a little out of my element because I was like, how does this work? And who do I pay? And when do I send the money? But it was fun. It was fun to see the different guys that were on there. Trinity, I know I've met him before, but it was cool to see the guys on there offering up their books and kind of, you know, sorting it out how they wanted to do it and doing the additional book for a certain increment. It was cool. I had a good time, and I'm definitely looking forward to getting my books in that I won. So I won an auction last night. I can't even remember how many books, but it had an amazing Spider-Man book in there that I wanted, and that's the reason why I bought it. So, but thank you guys. So Next up, I have, I picked this up as a collection that I won, or that I purchased. And the guy had a pretty decent run of this title. And at the time, I had not heard anything about it. But I think a month after I picked it up, I think they announced that they were doing a TV show on it on Netflix, maybe. Still haven't read the book, but I've heard really good things about it. It is East of West. And this one is, I think, the only book in my collection that has a remark, and I think the guy's name is Dragata. I think that's how you say it. He signed it and also did a really cool remark on this. This is, I believe, the second print of this particular book. So I wish that were the first print, but it is the second print. And there's a little bit of damage down here in the corner. The guy that I bought this from didn't take the best care of his collection, but it's a pretty cool remark nevertheless. So there you go. Get caught up. JD is saying it's a great series. Cool. Maybe one day I'll actually read it. I had a guy that was trying to buy it from me, and you know, I offered it to him to buy it. He told me no. And then like a week later, I think he did some research and realized that the price that I was offering him on the book at the time was a really, really good price. And by that point, I decided that I didn't want to sell it. So he hounded me for a couple of weeks. I never did sell it. I still have almost like the first 25 books, I want to say. So it's definitely cool, and it's even cooler because of the remark, you know. But these covers I think are really neat. A little bit of color, a lot of white space, which I think is really nice. So cool book. And then this next book, I think this is the last raw book that I'm going to show you. Everything else is, I think, signature series. This is one that I won from Comics with Bueller. He did a contest several months ago. I won the contest, and he actually threw in a special gift for me because he tried to personalize it for the individual that won. And he knew that I was a fan of Spider-Man's black costume. And Spider-Man's black costume, if you know the whole story, if you watch my video, then you know that Jim Shooter is the guy that actually bought the black costume idea from someone that pitched it to him. And I wish I could have gotten this signature on Secret Wars number 8, but it is on Secret Wars number 12. It is a pretty cool cover. What's cool is that I actually did not have the book. This is the only one that I was missing from the story arc, and Comics with Bueller hooked me up not only with the book that I was missing, but also with one that featured a cool signature from Jim Shooter. So that was pretty cool. All right, shout out to Comics with Bueller. Yeah, I love that cover too. I guess they do a what is that? I can't remember what the term is when when you shift the book around. I think it's something with an L. I can't remember what it was. But I think they did another version of that just recently. So, all right. Cajun Comics, never been there, never heard of it. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but you are enjoying yourself. And at the end of the day, that's what this is about. All right. So we're going to run through a couple of signature series books. I think they're all signature series. Yes, they are. Okay. There was one that I started to pull in here, and it was a Todd McFarlane book that I have slabbed that was actually not signature series. So I wanted to make sure. All right. So the first book is one that I actually won. And I won this from RB3. I won one of his contests in his In It to Win It contest that he does every single month. I was lucky enough to win one month. And like Comics with Bueller, RB3, Ray wanted to do something different. So he customized the gift for the person that won. And he knew that I was a fan of Jim Lee. So he hooked me up with a DC book because Jim Lee transcends Marvel and DC and Image. Hooked me up with Suicide Squad number 7, Signature Series 9.2, signed by Jim Lee. So this is definitely a pretty cool book. I think it's the only slabbed DC book that I have in my entire collection. It is also the only Jim Lee signature that I have in my entire collection. So this is a pretty cool book. As you guys know, Jim Lee does signings a lot at Torpedo Comics, and that's exactly who this variant comes from, and probably exactly where Ray got it signed because Ray lives in Vegas. So definitely a cool book to have in the collection. Poor Man's Comics is doing some advertising on the chat here. He has his, I'm joking, brother. He has his top 50 up. So if you guys haven't checked that out, head over and check it out. I plan to a little bit later today. And Miss Hustle, how you doing? It's good to see you. Thank you for helping me last night during the Great Legend show where I was trying to find my way in that live auction. So thanks for the assistance. I'm talking to her in the chat and I'm talking to her on Instagram. Like, what do I do and how do I pay? And so she hooked me up. So welcome to you, Miss Hustle, and thank you as always for the support. Next up is a pretty cool book. It's a homage cover that I think is really cool, but it is also signed by Ed McGuinness. And I think Ed McGuinness is a hot, talented artist. He's doing right now, I think, the Avengers title that I think is really good. That Avengers #5 I thought was incredible, but I'm definitely enjoying that series and he is doing the artwork on that. So when I saw this cover and saw that he was the artist, I had to pick it up. This is Hulk #1, signed by my man Ed McGuinness. And at some point I want to actually get some of Ed McGuinness's original art, because it'd be kind of cool to have here in the collection and also to have hung on the wall. So there's my Ed McGuinness signature. I wish that he had signed in something other than golds, because it's a little hard to see on here. Like silver probably would have worked quite nicely. So I showed you that book for a couple of reasons. One, it's Ed McGuinness. Two, it's a homage, but it's a homage to the next book on the list, and that is Incredible Hulk #181, a book that needs no introduction. And I picked this book up before jumping on a flight to go do some things for work. I picked this up from a guy on Instagram, and I got it because it was signed by my man Stan Lee. So I thought that was really cool. This was early on when I returned to collecting. Didn't have very many slab books, and I didn't have any books signed by Stan Lee. Didn't think I was ever going to get a chance to meet him, so I picked this book up for lots of reasons. One of which is because of the Stan Lee signature. So before we get to the last two books, let me check this thing out right now. Miss Hustle 181 signed. Yes, I wish I had like Lin Wing's signature, because that'd be cool. That'd be cool on a book like that. I've seen a couple of those go before, and you know, Stan is cool, but it would have been cool to have Lin on that too. So Tony Sanders, I am definitely a big fan of Ed's work. So good stuff, good stuff. All right, so the next two books are books that I have I've spoken about before. I think I've shown them. I don't think that this list was really in a particular order, but I guess the last couple of books that I'm showing are some of my favorites. So maybe there was an unconscious bias towards how I chose to sort these out. Let me get caught up here right here. So Poor Man's Comics is saying nice signature series Hulk 181. IG is getting expensive for me. Didn't need a new way. Yeah, brother, I'm gonna tell you. So somebody sent me a message the other day and they said, I love watching your videos, but your videos make me spend money. And I feel that way about YouTube. I feel that way about eBay, and I feel that way about Instagram, because you're constantly looking at these books and you're hearing guys and people talk about these books and you're like, oh, maybe I should get it. Oh, so you end up spending a lot of money. It's like pornography. The more you see it, the more you want, I guess. So Poor Man's Comics, I hear you, brother. All right, so the next book is a book that I love from the moment that I saw the cover of this book. And I was fortunate enough to get a signature from Stan Lee on this book. And then I used a facilitator to actually get a second signature from John Romita, the elusive John Romita. So we have Amazing Spider-Man #50, the first appearance of Kingpin, just a gorgeous cover by Romita. And we are lucky enough to have his signature up top, and then a pretty good signature from Stan Lee down at the bottom. So definitely a cool book. Absolutely love this book, and it holds a place of honor on what people started to call the wall of truth behind me. All right, and so the last book on my list here is one that you see missing from the wall back there. Had to get it at the beginning of this live stream because I forgot to pull the stuff down. It is Amazing Spider-Man number 300, and it is signed by Stan Lee, David, who I think is the inker, and then also Todd McFarlane. So we've got a cover, a book that really needs no introduction. We have Todd's signature right there in his traditional Todd fashion. Stan Lee's signature down here at the bottom, and then we've got David's signature off to the side here. So definitely a really cool book to have in the collection. This one came back as a 9.6. Very thankful because at the time my other book, my other ASM 300 was at CGC, and come to find out that that book had color touch. So I'm thankful that that book was away. Unbeknownst to me, had some color touch. I went out and picked this one up for these signatures, and I'm very thankful that the comic gods smiled upon me that day. All right, so let me get caught up here. Anything else I stopped when I see? You guys are awesome. You guys are hilarious. All right, so we're gonna run back through this list really quickly for those that may have joined just a little bit late, so you guys don't have to go back and watch the replay. We're gonna run through really quickly, kind of taking down some of the books. So we've got Infinity Gauntlet number 1, signed by Jim Starlin. We've got Guardians of the Galaxy number 1, signed by Jim Valentino. We have number 1, Domino, signed by J. Scott Campbell. Bub says he loves the recap. I do it out of respect and love for you guys. So we got East to West number 1. This is the second print. Dragato, I think that's how you say it. He did a remark on this book and also signed it down at the bottom. And then the last Raw book, we have Jim Shooter on Secret Wars number 12. Shout out to my man Comics with Bueller for that one. And then the last 5 books in the collection, or in this list, Incredible Hulk number 181, signed by Stan Lee. And Ed McGuinness, Hulk number 1, homage to 181. A Jim Lee Suicide Squad number 7 from Torpedo Comics. We have a triple signed Amazing Spider-Man number 300 from the Wall of Truth behind me. And the last Wall of Truth book is Amazing Spider-Man number 50, double signed by John Romita and by Stan Lee. So there you guys have it. Let me get caught up here. Jim Shooter's signature is awesome. First, seriously, it is a pretty nice signature. Yeah, man, I have not read East of West, Stay Puft, but I almost sold that run of books. I think I have like 1 through 25 or something like that. Almost sold that run of books, but the seller wasn't interested, and then I got interested afterwards and wouldn't sell it to him. But I'm glad that I've held on to that run of books. Nice video, JD. Thank you, brother. So here's the thing, JD, if I had to do all my sign books, you're right, it would take a lot more time because I have a lot more sign books, especially raw sign books. Even from my childhood, I have like several Mark Lee books, Jim Valentino books, Eric Larson signed a lot of my Savage Dragon books. So I have a lot of that stuff. But yeah, so the whole thing is to try to keep it relatively tight, you know? And so what I did is I took the top 50 books and I broke it down into smaller lists, one of which is, of course, the signature book. So we knocked it out in 10, but rest assured there are a lot more, my friend, you know? All right, so I want to thank you guys, as always, for spending a small part of your day with me. I know that there's a lot of other things that you guys could be doing, but I absolutely appreciate you guys hanging out with me for a little bit. I appreciate all of the comments and commentary and thumbs up and that kind of stuff. And some people gave me a little bit of grief the other day. They gave me some grief because I haven't done a giveaway of any sort up until this point. I think I've been doing the YouTube thing for, I don't know, 8 months or something like that. So I'm starting to wrap my mind around this idea of some kind of giveaway. I want to make it fun. I want to make it easy for people. And I want to do it more as a thank you to folks for, sticking with me and for the likes and the comments and all that kind of stuff. And so I want to continue noodling that just a little bit to see what it might look like. I'm thinking that I'll probably kick it off when I reach 1,000 subs on YouTube. But I want to think more about it because I want to do it the right way. So more to come on that. But I want to thank you guys again for spending a little bit of time and kind of hanging out with me today. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope that you guys have a great week ahead.